Hey, welcome back to Of the Devil. Cheesy here. We are pretty sure we just ended our first trial, and it ended in a really exciting way. So, guess we're gonna have to do some more investigating at that point. Uh, and yeah, no, it's been a bit hard to record lately too, because it's been crazy hot this summer, and I've been crazy busy. So, try to get these out in a consistent manner. So, hopefully, that's gonna keep going. Anyways, for now, let's just continue our adventure. I'm curious to see what's going on and see how Chopin died. All right. That should free up your phone from the blanket. Thank you, Detective London. You're welcome, Counselor Morgan. Something I said. You didn't say anything yesterday about what the Hound of Ir-rah-shai really is. Come on, there's a lot of code names to remember. Would you believe me if I said I didn't put two and two together? Maybe I would if I hadn't seen you act that fast back in the courtroom. That was a lucky shot. From across the room, with the crowd moving around him. Yeah, real lucky. I know, I'm agreeing with you. Though it would be a lot less lucky if you were, say, already watching him. Did you know? No, but I'm flattered you think I'm brave enough to stick around for a shooting that I knew would happen. But you recognized him? Tickled a spot in the back of my brain, even in disguise. It helped that the guy was fidgeting around all day. Bresson had been in the courtroom all day. How long had he waited to take his shot? Did you get a good look at him? I did not. You shot him very fast. Eyes bloodshot to hell and back, nosebleed, flushed extremities. He was high as a drone. Probably metahexphenyline. Metahexphenyline. Considering how well the Blue Bloods have done pushing it. Metahex Nirvana? The party drug that college kids are huffing? It's been a long time since I was in college. I guess it could be good for a party in small doses. I'm hypothesizing here. Don't take this out of context. Sure. But at a higher doses? A couple of months ago, I saw this guy stumbling around one of the open markets. Eyes dilated and mouth moving a block a minute. He knocked over some bicycles, so I cuffed him to the rack, hoping he'd sober up within the hour and I could move on. I took a phone call, and when I looked back, he was trying to chew through the chain. He broke 4 teeth, and he had started biting his arm by the time I knocked him out. Ew. But anecdotes are cheap, and one bad trip will hardly slow the ball now that it's rolling. You believe the hype? Think they're gonna legalize it? Within the next 2 quarters, if you ask me. What'll happen to the Blue Bloods monopoly? Up in smoke. Pharma-megs and dispensaries of the world will step in to reap the rewards, and the Blue Bloods will have to slink off and cook up some other haze to push. The gray tide rolls on. The Blue Bloods have legitimate income sources, right? Like scientists? Yep, some of them are even pretty profitable, like their host clubs and pink rooms. So if the Blue Bloods can run those businesses just fine, why can't they stay in control of Nirvana once it's legalized? There's competition, and name recognition, and locale, and real estate, and basically, they can't afford it. The buy-in's too steep, and everyone past the door likes it that way. Legal drugs are a whole other realm of profitable. Folks like the Ir-rah-shai do not want to share. Gee, not even on special occasions. Well, like I told you, there was that meeting last year, but their play date fell apart. Hey, what you said back there in court about Prop 492? Ah, yes. You really buy that? Tariq Chopin working with Blue Bloods? It's quite the unlikely pairing, I'll admit, but that might explain why it ended the way it did. I mean, it's possible. So, what's the verdict? The verdict is only handed down after the jury's finished deliberating. That may take. The show must go on. And the shooter? Getting introduced to the accommodations down at the morgue right about now. He was some blue blood muscle named Bresson. Ring a bell? As I've said, all these blue bloods are all. He tried to shoot you, Sosuke, and I was standing very close to you when it happened. I'd like a little more detail on that. More detail than that. I've never met him, never heard of him. That's the truth. But the Bresson family is known to be enforcers for blue blood leadership. So it's the old guard who wants you dead. Does that make the young bloods an enemy of an enemy? Didn't you tell me Creek was a young blood? Considering what I'm on trial for, I doubt they're fond of me either. God damn it, Sosuke. Who doesn't hate your ass? I need to try harder to disregard the nonsense that comes out of that adjutant's mouth. Yeah, probably. It might be starting to sink in. Sosuke, you were captured when you could have been ignored. You were tortured when you could have been ransomed. And now these people are trying to kill you in one of the most secure buildings in the city. What are they after? Why are you at the top of the blue blood shit list? Is it because of... No, it's not the Hound. It's the meeting, right? It went bad. Is it because of what happened a year ago? How do you know about what happened a year ago? A meeting between Old Guard and the House, apparently. You were going to work out a deal for the Icarian network to distribute a blue blood product. Why would we want the basement cooked swill the blue bloods make sold in our storefronts, our pharmacies? You wouldn't. Not until after Nirvana is legalized. Yes, I figured some stuff out. Stop pouting. There was a meeting last year, yes. A private meeting that was to be kept strictly confidential. The IFG met with the Old Guard to discuss a deal. It fell apart. Voices were raised, weapons drawn. I was in the shadows, and I stepped in front of a blade for Makoto. The House elders were perturbed afterwards. They feared for Makoto's safety and perhaps felt that they had grown overconfident. The Hound is a useful tool, but not indispensable. So they ordered me to guard Makoto full-time. Isn't that a great honor, guarding the heir to the headship? Of course it is. Then why do you sound like that? You get points for picking up on it, but you need to learn how to take advantage of it. So your deal fell apart. Blood was drawn. I kinda assumed that was par for the course in your world. It's not unheard of. So why are the Old Guard still trying to kill you and Makoto a year later? I don't know. I don't know, Morgan. Because I'm not an Old Guard. Is there someone we could talk to who is? There's always someone. For a price. But if that's how it's gonna go, I'm gonna need a drink first. Ooh, are we going to see Reinhardt? Is that his last name? I'm trying to remember his name now. Oh. Here to join? What are you talking about? Who's that? Sorry to disappoint, but I was here first. Yeah, who the heck is this? Who are we talking to? The net slows shit in this wing of the school, and no one else comes here if they don't have to, so it's a quiet spot to read. Oh, is this David? This is how we met. Yeah, it is a detective mystery, so what? Like 5% of the books in the library are? Wait, David's hair's green, though. That by me is just the color. Wait, is that... No, this is a dress. It's not David. Well, it's not like you own the room. If you want to convene your club meetings in here with your many members, I can't exactly sue you. Especially not since you're going to be some big shot lawyer. Join your club so I don't get evicted? Isn't that like blackmail, counselor? Mutually beneficial, sure. So it's just plain old corruption. You'll do just fine out there in the adult world. Whatever, as long as you don't go around telling people I'm a member, you can put me down. We need to add our phone numbers, huh, too? No, I don't actually care. Oh, we're just spacing out. Is something wrong? No, why would you think that something's wrong? It's very unusual for you to wake up mid-transit. When you decide to nap, you fall asleep very fast and you sleep very deeply. Suspiciously so. Sometimes I'll try to wake you, and I could swear you're just pretending. I have no idea what you're talking about. Serra. Besides, you're the one who's been quiet. I had been bothering Sosuke, I think, pestering him about catching bullets. If you were bothering Sosuke, he'd say it. Turn to the side in that bitchy pose of his. But I can't catch a bullet either, even though I'm fast and I can see fast. Sosuke was the one who acted while I just... Sosuke's trained for that exact kind of thing. Trained for his whole life, the way he tells it. Father built me to be strong. I should be able to... David didn't build you to be anything, Serra. He didn't even really build you. Just watch you grow. And do you think I am still growing? Still developing? You think I could get taller? I think you shouldn't get your hopes up about that. Come on, you can bounce back faster than that. I'm sorry. I suppose I am still processing what we saw back in the courtroom when Detective London took out that shooter. I know that Detective London has been a police officer for many years. It stands to reason that he'd act decisively in circumstances where so many lives are at risk. What I am still thinking about is the man he killed. Yeah, but there's only so much speculation we can do about his motive until... I'm not thinking about his motive. I am thinking about how he is dead. You haven't been out and about that long. Everything's new to you, even the most ordinary stuff. I guess I forget that includes the extraordinary, too. You've seen violence like that before, then? Yes, I have. Seen people die? Yes, I have. Seen more people die than most your age? Most lawyers? Probably a safe bet. This is a private subject, isn't it? Death is always private. I'm no exception. Do people ever get used to it? I can only speak for myself. Have you gotten used to it? Every time is like the first time. Oh, we use that. Good call. Oh. I hope that everyone is like you, then. It doesn't seem like the kind of thing anyone should get used to. Sorry to disappoint you, then. There are no people like me. Damn. That was very sweet and sad at the same time. What a good time. We're doing great here. Post-trial. Ir-rah-shai. 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 To what do I owe the pleasure of hosting my two favorite girls? One's Serra. Who's the other? Figment of my imagination, apparently. Do you want something to drink? What do you recommend? I've just got this case of beautiful tawny deep reds from volcanic soil across the sea. Savory and full with notes of cherry and oak. Sounds delicious. You just described a tree, down to the dirt. Well, I would very much like to try it. Sorry, you're underage. She's an android. A very realistic one. What'll you say to customers who walk in and see her drinking at the counter? Ir-rah-shai? Two waters, coming right up. Wait. Back up. Your client is the Hound of Ir-rah-shai? And I was the last person to find out what that actually means. Then it should be easy enough to tell whether he did the deed or not. The Hound always leaves the calling card. So I hear. Is that literal? Stark white business card laid neatly on the ground with the house's insignia. I don't understand why the house would go to such lengths to let the victims know who attacked them. These nobility types, their whole lives are galas and boardrooms and cocktail parties and wine tastings. Torture. Where every sentence has a front and back side to it, and every glance is a whole unspoken clause. To them, an unambiguous act of violence is an exclamation point that they can't misconstrue. And the Ir-rah-shai aren't exactly at the top of the nobility pecking order. Reminding the others that they've still got their fangs is a viable strategy. They know they're outclassed in terms of how many mountains of gold they have. That doesn't explain why such a supposedly great assassin has gotten made on more than one occasion. Well, he's probably doing his job there. If all he needed was to get away with murder, he'd be a poisoner or a sniper. All the major houses love to use body doubles. If he kills a target behind closed doors, their house can just bring out a spare. Or hell, claim the entire thing never happened. But if the Hound kills where a house's rivals can see, the damage sticks. You know a lot about the nobility, don't you, boss? Are you considered part of the neo-aristocracy? Do I look like I've that kind of sway? I don't run a bar in Midtown as a hobby kid. Wouldn't know it looking at how profitable your wine section is. It'll catch on. The house was a nasty surprise, but the big reveal isn't making anything click for me. Oh, the Hound was a nasty surprise. A blue blood assassin is trying to mist him mid-trial. I don't get it either, but the blue bloods aren't as rational as they used to be. Used to be? I traded with them a good deal when I was younger, and they were richer. Traded what? Stock tips. Oh. This was before the Ir-rah-shai cut them down. I was a young man hungry to get established myself, and the Blue Bloods were the biggest game in town. The rest weren't even a twinkle in some psychopunk's eyes back then, and the Ir-rah-shai cartel were just that. Drug smugglers and dope runners. The Blue Bloods used them as couriers. A reversal of fortune. Could be their names on opera houses and hospitals all across the city today if... If what? If the Ir-rah-shai hadn't killed them all. But didn't they have allies? Connections? The morgues were overflowing with cerulean blood. No one wanted anything to do with them. But they were the victims. Corporate partners are risk-averse. Political alliances require you to bring something to the table. And when you fall that far, that fast, the common folk assume it happened for a reason. They thought that the Blue Bloods deserved it just because it happened to them? All that was left were the old-timers, the grandparents and the great-uncles, all suddenly without heirs. They recruited latchkeys and orphans during the Red Decade, found family that became the first gens and then the young bloods. What about the money? You're starting to sound like a real human. Some of it, the cash, the gold, the jewels, the Ir-rah-shai just stole. But the vast majority of it was held overseas, where it was safe, untouchable, and impossible to get your hands on without the right blood. Locked behind GFA. Getting butchered by the Ir-rah-shai was a bad beating, but losing that money was unforgivable, I bet. The rest of the Blue Blood Mafia around the world will never accept them back into the fold until they recover it. Exiled from paradise because they tempted fate with their hubris. It has a certain poetic charm to it, no? It would have to be a very sobering poem. Those are the ones you remember, aren't they? Probably why the Blue Bloods are still humming the old the same old hymns, passed down the same ghost stories and urban legends. They did seem to be surprisingly superstitious, a superstitious bunch, crossing their fingers over the red hood and, hey, what's a little lord? That's another one. New spin on the oldest tale in the book, A Promised Prince. The belief is that exactly one kid survived the fall of the leaves. One lone heir to all the fortune the Blue Bloods lost. Got spirited away overseas or out west to be raised in secret, and one day he'll come back to reclaim what's rightfully, I'm guessing you've heard of this one before. Is there any truth to it? Old guards certainly seem to think so. Need to think so. It's probably what's keeping them alive. If they can just hold on another 5 years, they'll finally find the heir they've been looking for, and they can rectify decades of embarrassment and shame. Thinking like that is what makes young bloods start talking about maybe the old guard doesn't care what happens to us. What do you expect? Blood's thicker than water. The original full expression is thought to be, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Yeah, I do really like that saying. That actually suggests that the camaraderie between those who fought together is stronger than simply sharing a common relative. And that is the case. Yeah, well, if that were actually true, then maybe people wouldn't have amputated the expression centuries ago. That's also true. Still, this is a 30 years of water or blood covenant, if you prefer, that we're talking about. Young bloods give their life to the mafia. Each of them had to choose it over their own family. It's a pretty raw deal to cut him loose just because some sheltered kid, only valuable for his DNA, decided to show up after all these years. You think the old guard would throw away the young bloods if it meant reuniting with their little lord? I know it, and so do the young bloods. That doesn't seem to be a dynamic that incentivizes them to look very hard for this little lord. No, it incentivizes them to smother the royal bastard. If I assume my client is innocent, that means someone else killed Tarek Chopin. Someone who didn't do it in self-defense. Tarek Chopin. You mean the son of the city councilman? Adopted son. His parents are government officials. Even if they're loaded, the Mob Act can't protect their records. What was the Mob Act again? Oh, it's like Protection of Reasonable Anonymity Act. Oh yeah, this was to protect people from working with the mob. Yeah, the flash lynching case went too far and it killed a kid, I believe. Yeah, I remember that from the last time. Nice. Wait, do I have profiles? Oh shoot, I didn't even look at Rogers. Huey Rogers. By the way, I don't know if I fully trust him. I think originally I was thinking he was pretty cool, and then he had his outburst after, and I did not like that. That outburst said a lot to me. He was very accusatory and insulting, with no good reason behind it. He's not a good police officer. Anyways, his occupation, police officer, Lower Wards Patrol. He likes salt water, okay, rosemary, and graffiti art. Dislikes sand. Okay, you like salt water, but you dislike sand. That's a rough time. Marshmallows. The lottery. You don't like the lottery? Wakes up at 5:30 a.m. Can't stand mice. Fair. Balance easily upset. He's an AB minus. Silly man. And Barrows. Oh, our girl. Our lady. Superior judge of the higher circuit. She likes hot springs, cold beer, and warm tea. Dislikes waking up before her alarm. Cat person. I happen to be allergic. Mark answer as yes. Is that Sarah's note? Never forgets a password shorter than 10 characters. Favorite season? Fall. You and me both, girl. You and me both. That's the evidence. Chopin's autopsy. Impaled. Okay. Needle gun, I remember that. Sosuke sword. Yoru. Another worm murder weapon. I had to wipe the prints off before taking my leave. It was indulgent to try to take Trey's head off. Wasn't my only indulgence either. I must have gotten Miller's blood on the blade's tip when I dragged it across the floor. Yeah, you had too much fun, girl. It was way too fun. Alright. Yeah, we talked about the mob act. Let me move my mouse. Serra, look this guy up. What do you want to know? What's his age? How old was he? His age is listed as 27, but the entry has been edited a number of times. There has been a great deal of back and forth between database contributors in the last 36 hours over the addition or removal of an asterisk. It seems his original birth certificate was lost. Well, that's shady as hell. Only kinda. Here it comes. If he was an orphan 27 years ago, that's pretty firmly in the red decade. A lot of paperwork was getting lost back then. That's a kind way of putting it. What would be an unkind way of putting it? The governments of the world were scrambling. Alright, and he was adopted. I want to know about his adoption. His fathers adopted him in 2066 after 3 months of visits to Gospel Home Orphanages, a private philanthropic institution that is no longer in business. Bankrupt or bought out? Bankrupt. Damn it. They had just gotten swallowed. The parent company might have kept their records. The adoption itself was somewhat of an event. There are multiple news articles and photos of it. Not trying to cast doubt on the realness of their connection, but they wouldn't be career politicians if they let a photo op that good pass by them. Unless they wanted to draw attention away from who they were adopting, and no, a child showing up quietly in a politician's life looks guilty as sin. It wouldn't let people think. This isn't useful. I can go in circles all day speculating about this. Fair. And education. What was his education? Tariq Chopin had a law degree. Who gets a law degree and then becomes a patrol officer? The son of a politician. That's not a bad path. If your superiors know you're connected and smart, and can recognize when the law is being broken, they'll keep you far away from anything real. You can coast for a year and they'll move into politics as a veteran of the force, who's hard on crime. London did mention he was far too principled to be likable or reliable. If joining up with the police was nothing but a calculated move, that means he had a clear plan of what to do after. And it probably didn't involve defrauding the city in a real estate scheme. I can think of a few reasons why a cop would get murdered at the scene of the crime like that. But Tariq Chopin wasn't some ordinary cop. The strongest motive that comes to mind is... Wait, you really think Chopin was the Little Lord? You're the last person I'd expect to believe in fairy tales, Red. Can you honestly say it doesn't fit? If we, for a moment, assume that unicorns and dragons and tsuchinokos are real. What do you mean? Tsuchinokos are very well documented. I can show you. Then yeah, it's possible that Chopin was the Little Lord. And if any young blood knew it, they'd want him dead. To prevent the old guard from abandoning them. 3 thoughts come to mind. 1, this is all guesswork on your part. Even the most zealous young blood wouldn't off a guy just because he happened to be about 30 years old and adopted. They would have had to have seen something that at least suggested it. 2, as I recall, the only young blood you know of is this Creek guy. And Creek was dead before Chopin ever entered the building. Clears his name pretty handily. The only young blood I know? 3, I can think at least one other group that'd kill to prevent the Little Lord from reclaiming his throne. House Ir-rah-shai. And who better to cut him down than their most loyal rook? And that would neatly explain why the old guard would be pissed enough to try to kill Sosuke in a courtroom. Unfortunately. Stay positive. Just because the old guard thinks Sosuke killed their precious heir doesn't mean he actually did. Yeah. Hey, Serra, get some footage of me making this next one from over there in the corner. Boss? We'll shoot a promo. I just found this hidden gem where this guy made the best drink ever. That kind of thing. Where it's kind of cheap and fake, but like, you're in on the joke and it's not pretending to be genuine. Boss, with the number of followers Kintsugi has, a video longer than 9 seconds posted at this time of day. I don't want to hear that depressing shit. We'll cross-post, or whatever. Does it have to be that corner? The lighting will be bad. Any corner. Just make sure it's from a distance. From a distance, wouldn't it be better framed if... It'll look like shaky cam, found footage. It's more legit that way. My hands do not shake, but I'll try. What are you doing? Making you a drink, obviously. That's quite the treat. Why? Because we've got some heavy shit to discuss. Starts with ice. What do we do with crushed ice at Kintsugi, Serra? Kick it under the fridge. Yeah, that makes sense. Exactly. Rock ice or nothing when you're mixing a cocktail. Hang on, you taught her that? There's a drain under there. Not in my kitchen. When the ice melts, it warps the floorboard. Half a lime juice. Pay no attention to the second half I'm using here, Serra. Red likes it tart. Now you're the lawyer, and you've got a hell of a mind for all this stuff. Egg white. Toss the yolk, unless it's a weekend, in which case... Put it in a bowl in the fridge. But it seems to me like you're approaching this shooter from every angle but the deadly serious one. Orgeet. Or Orgeet? Orgeet. If a customer says they prefer simple syrup, you let me know and we won't serve them anymore. You need to consider that maybe that shooter wasn't there for Sosuke. I told you they kicked me out after only a few minutes. No one's sending an assassin after me for that. Whiskey, black label or higher. Then shake the hell out of it. Word of mouth can be deadly down here in the fog. I saw her leaving the building. Can easily become I saw her running away. If someone wanted to get me in a courtroom filled with cops would be a pretty shitty place to choose to do it. Yeah, but it might have been the only time and place they knew you'd be. Mint for a garnish with charred cinnamon for smoky ambiance. Serve immediately. Nice. A bitter blessing. Surely with that much lime, it's a sour blessing, no? You want me to toss it out? Thank you for the drink. But I'm nobody, Rain. No one's coming to get me. Nobody even knows I exist. I hope you're right. I am. You won't know if you're wrong until it's too late. Bottoms up. You get all that, Serra? Yes, boss. Man, I want a drink now. It's hot. Hey, bottoms up is just an expression. You're supposed to sip it for God's... One last thing. Apparently Sosuke's captors talked about some kind of huntsman. The little lord's an urban legend. Huntsman's a goddamn boogeyman. Orcas shooting the shit around burning tires trying to make the noobs afraid to go off and piss by themselves. Right, so they're bullshit. I got the same answer elsewhere, but... Oh, they're very real. Pardon? Huntsmen. Not a species native to our shores, thank God. But they're real. You just said they're boogeymen. Yeah, and the fact that they exist is what makes them so damn scary. Are they some sort of assassin, like Bresson, the shooter in the courtroom? Nothing so concrete. Huntsmen are virtual shapeshifters. You'll feel it chill down your spine one night on your way home from work or go to sleep. Wake up at night to a man wearing your own face choking the life out of you, while he calls your mom from your locked phone across the room in your own voice. But like I said, they're all overseas, in one more contested parts in more contested parts of the world where the Blue Bloods are better funded. You wouldn't pay for one of them to come into the country unless you had a really good use case or a weapon only they could take full advantage of. Damn. Like the mask we just stole. I'm sure I'll be sure to pass that one to Sosuke. Why Sosuke can start writing his will? I wouldn't bet against him, as long as he knows what he's up against. Urban legends are missed, but boogeymen are easy to kill. How do you kill a boogeyman? Same way I'd kill anyone else. With pleasure. Nice. We are such positive people. All right. I actually need a recommendation from you. What kind of recommendation? A bar, I think. Needs to be open tonight. Oh. What are you looking for? Well, it's not for me, but... How much do you know about host clubs? Oh, we get to go see a host club? That's gonna be sick. I'm ready to be hosted. Hey, it's Reyes. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Just what I said. You can't enter the crime scene unless you pass our security clearances. You've got to be. You're a drug-pushing lowlife. Why would I need your permission to go anywhere? I take offense to that. I never worked in pharma. Han, not the time to be a smartass. Reyes, it'll only take 30 seconds. You're serious? This is reality. The city's expecting blue bloods to keep a crime scene secure. They're the ones committing the goddamn crimes. Hey, if that's your criteria, half the police force should be disqualified. Or is excessive force not a real crime? Are battered spouses not real victims? Guess assault's only assault when it's a real person on the receiving end. Cyanus is legitimate, Reyes. All the paperwork's in order and signed by our bosses. These idiots are walking around barehanded and knocking shit over and leaving trash all over the goddamn place. Should we give them badges while we're at it? Let them investigate crimes too. We already investigate crimes. Do you have any idea how many missing teens there are in the lower wards? No, because we find them. Because we actually give a shit about the people who live down here. Oh, and I'm sure your prices are very generous. Better their parents getting a bill from us than a letter of condolences from you. So sorry, ma'am, but he looked suspicious as he was running away. Han not helping. Reyes, let's calm down. Sorry that I'm not calm when we've got actual orcas stomping all over the scene where a cop was murdered. Last I counted, there were 5 bodies upstairs. Are both your eyes broken, or do you just not recognize anyone without a badge as human? Perhaps we've come at a bad time. Nothing for it. Gotta strike while the iron's hot. The iron seems very hot in this instance, Adonai. Sorry to interrupt, folks. Don't mind me, I'll just go take another look upstairs. Now you? Hey, why not? You nearly died once already today. Why not let these orcas give you the tour? Was that you giving me permission? No! You and London should both be at the goddamn hospital or whatever, getting debriefed. She doesn't need your permission. She has mine. Ma'am, you can go right ahead upstairs. Talk over me again and I'll break your finger. Is that ADD recording right now? That sounded like a threat. You want to hear a threat? I'll clearly. This isn't gonna work. So Han, why don't you head upstairs and wait for Morgan? I don't take orders from you. Who do you take orders from? Want me to give them a call? Let them know you're going around kicking hornets' nests and scratching your head over why everyone's getting stung? Whatever. You think you could just walk away after the shit you said, turn around and take a walk, sunshine. London, if you think for even one, I am not kidding, Farah. Take a walk. Forget it. You can go to hell for all I care. You all can go to hell for all I care. Oh, no, not you. For God's sakes. Oh, that was so nice of her. They must have bonded. Sorry about the bad timing. No, that was going to blow up no matter what. Situations like this require compromise, and Reyes is uncompromising. At least you're around to balance her out. You might be the most compromised cop I've ever met. That was not a very nice thing to say. And it shows that you haven't met that many cops. I'm surprised you're still welcome around here after what happened in the courtroom. Oh, Bresson? The Blue Bloods are a big organization, and Bresson was pretty firmly on the other side. Gals like Han who work in the gray areas might as well live in a different world. If you say so. I just didn't think the Mafia would allow the death of one of their own to go unanswered. They sent him into a courtroom packed with police with a modded arm that only had one shot. I don't think they're surprised it didn't make it back. Will Detective Reyes be all right? She seemed angry. More so than usual. Yeah, she'll be all right. Blowing up, yelling, cursing, that's nothing. Practically healthy. It's the ones who go quiet you gotta worry about. What brings you back here anyway? We're pursuing leads. Sounds serious. Ooh. Anyone go digging into Chopin after my implications earlier today? Lady Rockford will probably take it seriously, if only to cross it off the list. But other than her, I think you mostly just pissed people off. Lucky for you, I was able to convince some techs to confirm your soundproof Windows theory. But don't expect to be welcome at City Hall anytime soon. Hadn't count on it. Whatever else he's innocent of, Chopin did get here before anyone else, and no one knows how. Look, if he really did get some kind of coded message or secret text, there's no trace of it in any comms log on his personal device, and it didn't come from any of the tech we examined on site. Have you found any secret passages on the premises? Afraid not, little lady. But maybe you have better luck than me. Secret passages? In what world? Yeah, she watches a lot of movies. You gotta trust Serra on this one, though. Was that your whole story back in the courtroom? You and Reyes happened to be in the area? If you don't want to take my word for it, Reyes will tell you the same thing. It doesn't seem like she'd want to talk to Adonai at the moment. Can you tell me exactly what you two saw when you arrived? The 10999 went out around 10:15 p.m., telling us that Chopin's heart had stopped, so we dashed across the street to an elevator. We were descending at 10:17 p.m. when Rogers reported that he was dead. At 10:21 p.m., we approached from the front of the building, saw the door ajar, lock blown in. Then Sunshine and I started clearing the first floor. You didn't hurry up to the third floor, where the dead cop was. Like I testified, Chopin had flatlined, and his own partner had confirmed it was no false alarm. We knew we couldn't do anything for him. Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so SOP is we focus on securing the area and clearing premises. How level-headed. So Officer Rogers we saw in court today really did take Sosuke down all by himself? Yeah, charged in and pistol whipped him right on the head. I assume you found that the first floor was, in fact, clear? Yeah, all these vaults were empty. You didn't wait for Cyanus to show up with the spare keys. Surprised you didn't throw your back out kicking down doors. Sunshine helped. Besides, they weren't all locked. They weren't? Yeah, I remember that. The one right there was unlocked. Room 107. What? Nothing inside there either, though. Guess the Blue Bloods missed a lock on a nightly roundup or something. Cyanus had unlocked every door in the building at this point. But when I first walked down this hall and when I walked out the front door later, how did this hall look then? Oh man, I should really look back on that. I'd be curious. If you do manage to find some kind of silent alarm, I'll be impressed. If you prove that Chopin was dirty, I'll be floored. But even then, how the hell are you going to convince a jury that anyone other than Sosuke killed him? It'll be difficult, without accounting for the 4 dead Blue Bloods as well. But if you take it all in as one set, starts seeming plausible as an internal issue, don't you think? What are you... You want to pitch this at the Youngbloods or Old Guard going at it? Over what? The juicy bait that Champagne literally died over. Proposition 492. But what's there to disagree about? The project would put money in everyone's pockets. If my theory's correct, and Chopin was killed because of the Youngbloods didn't want the Old Guard abandoning them, the Old Guard have always hedged their bets on the Little Lord returning. Does that mean the Red Ink plans to profit off Prop 492 were a Youngblood conspiracy? Those papers were tucked inside Creek's safe before I arrived. Well, good hunting. You won't be joining us. Not this time. I gotta pump the brakes on Sunshine before she finds a bar. Try not to piss off the Blue Bloods with any more wild accusations while I'm gone. I would never. Take care. And that goes doubly for you, Sparky. What does Sparky mean, by the way? It's a nickname, 'cause you're so bright. A nickname? But I guess people are always calling you ADDs whatever they like, huh? Sorry, should have asked first. What do you mean? I'll just call you Serra. But it's my nickname. You gave it to me. You can't just take it back. Well, okay then, Sparky. What the hell? Did you hate spearmint that much? That is... I would never want to seem ungrateful. It's true, we did call her Spearmint a bunch. Okay, gotta load the scene of the crime. Seems like the smell's starting to fade. Hooray. Barely even the memory of blood, now that so many feet have trotted through here. Nothing lasts forever. Miss Hahn? What? No, I already called you this morning. No, they're not. No, they're not. You're being paranoid. Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'll call you tonight. Bye. Didn't mean to interrupt another lover's quarrel. What? Oh no, that was... Dementia meds aren't working. They get confused this time of day. Sorry. Forget it. That's what I'm gonna do. Just gonna turn my phone off for a minute and forget. Cute android, by the way. Oh, she's appreciating that. So, what's up? There's a couple of ways going about this, but none of them are surefire. Might as well start out big and see if there's anything to this theory. Do Blue Bloods use silent alarms? Yeah, of course. Thank you for telling us. Sure. I'm actually going to need a bit more than that, Miss Hahn. It's just Han. Did Creek have a silent alarm? She's hesitating all of a sudden. Is she unsure of the answer, or did she just give her first answer without thinking about where it would lead? Nothing like that installed in the building. Arcs would have chewed it up and spat it out by now. The Arcs is not flawless. It can miss things. Look, you see the level of tech we Blue Bloods have? It's secure, but it ain't subtle. True. An Orca-run security firm won't have quite as much luck hiding their subsystems from the police as David Asher did, Serra. But the Arcs can miss things that aren't tech at all. A silent alarm that's analog? Ha! Let me know if you figure that one out. Either an alarm is analog or loud or digital and silent. They don't mix. She's defensive, but her logic is sound. Approaching it from the other angle, then. How can an analog silent alarm possibly function? A literal alarm, but one that can't be heard under normal circumstances. What a horrible smell in here. Like a dog whistle. You once bragged to me about your sense of smell. I don't think I was bragging. Could have sworn you puffed your chest out at the time. Doesn't matter. If I ask you to sniff something out, could you find it? What would you like to look? What would you like me to look for? I still don't have a clear picture of what happened after I left, but there's one thing I know should be here that hasn't turned up once. It's my knife. Right, I'm the only one who knows about the knife. And while I don't know where it went, I do know it had plenty of blood on it when I last saw it. I want you to smell for blood. Adonai, do you really need me to help you find blood in here? I'm not asking you to sniff in here. I want you to smell out the window. I'll try. There are many strong smells in this part of the city, Adonai, but there is something truly unpleasant as well. Something beneath this fire escape. Okay, now go fetch. You could ask nicely. Wait, Serra. Yes? That's a very old, rusted fire escape. Take the stairs. You're too heavy. As you command, Adonai. Un instant. Several minutes later, Serra returned looking worse for wear and seemingly in a bad mood. Did the wait comment bother her that much? Adonai, I do not like digging through trash. It is not a dignified way to investigate. Digging in people's trash is the basis of all good investigation. Easy for you to say when you aren't wearing all white. Did you find something? Yes. My knife, and it's charred. I found it amongst the ashes of the blackened steel drum below the fire escape. It seems to have been the site of a fire. That sounds familiar. Wasn't there a barrel churning in the alley when I first scoped the place out? There were signs of a chemical flame retardant being applied to the barrel. Police must have put the fire out when they first secured the scene, meaning the knife wasn't in the fire all night. But still, there does indeed appear to be blood on this knife, Adonai. So how did both the police and scientists miss it? Their noses aren't as good as yours, evidently. That is true. But they have drones and dogs for this kind of thing. Yeah, but they have to actually use them. They have no reason to search the vicinity for a bloodied knife if they found a sword sticking out of a corpse's midsection. Shall we ask the police to check for fingerprints? Fingerprints are mostly oil and sweat. Fire evaporates them both. Then we'll have to test and see whose blood is on that knife. But DNA is damaged by heat as well. You know, before DNA analysis, blood had another forensic use. You mean blood typing? The DNA on the knife might be too damaged, but the modern analytical tools should be able to at least identify blood typing. That could work, Adonai. Great. Ready to get started? Pardon? You were capable of recognizing my DNA, weren't you? When we first met? Yes, but... So why don't you try your hand at analyzing blood type? It's gotta be simpler, right? It might be, but Adonai, to analyze the blood on this knife, I would have to use my pretend it's a lollipop or something. It's blood. Well done, blood. It'll taste like beef. You don't know what human blood tastes like. Of course I don't. Look, if the fire sanitized it, probably. Just get it over with. Oh my god. It's gonna be so gross. I will reference this incident the next time we discuss raises, Adonai. Fine by me, because that's never happening. Analyzing flavor. Yeah, she did it. Oh. She did great. What have you got? There is blood from more than one person present. Mostly B- with some AB... Oh, B negative. I believe with some AB negative around the tip. AB negative, isn't that... I just saw the profile. Wait, is that profile? Not... Chopin is B-. No, he's an A+. B- is our boy Miller? Yeah, B-. He got stabbed. But Huey is an AB-. Alright, I'm now suspicious of you, Huey. Okay. Alright, now we can cross-reference that with the rest of the data I have. Thank you for the report, Serra. You've given me a new lead to follow. Yes, Adonai. And you've just made your first forensic contribution to an ongoing criminal investigation. How many androids can say that? She's so happy. Now, come on. We've got some boxes to tick. Yay, my favorite. Looking at old stuff. Oh. Is this evidence? It's a piece of crap some crime scene tech left behind. Nothing relevant about it. Yes, you're right. It is just displaying a news article they must have been reading. Apparently, they've arrested the Heartbreak Killer. What? This is a copycat. Yes, the Heartbreak Killer's copycat, and it seems... Just let me skim it for myself. Suspected Heartbreak copycat foiled. Arrested. An individual suspected of planning an act of terror has been arrested thanks to quick response from the local police and well-coordinated efforts from the state investigators. The suspect, whose identifying information has not been released to the public, was apprehended by officers seemingly in the midst of preparing their attack, having already a loaded firearm and several magazines of ammunition into their vehicle. Police have not commented on whether the firearm in question was properly tagged, but the insiders with close ties to the investigation claim that the weapon itself was not what led to the arrest. We identified a troubling pattern of net activity in the days leading up to the arrest, concerning searches and attempts to access old net portals. The suspect has already been in our radar by that point, so when they posted that manifesto, we were able to quickly secure a warrant for their arrest. The alleged manifesto in question consists of what was, at the time, a publicly accessible online document, praising Heartbreak's hardline stance against neoliberal corporate soft power, and listing a number of complaints and criticisms against the recent business decisions made by Hanami Robotics. Most notably, an announcement made on their last earnings call that they would begin moving manufacturing jobs offshore. While the decision landed Hanami in some controversy at the time, their stock prices steadily increased in the days after. Reflecting optimism against their shareholders that Hanami's lucrative product lines of mostly heavy construction robots would no longer be so strictly tied to the national politics. When the arrest was first made, no clear connection between the individual and Hanami was apparent, but Hanami's CFO has since been seen speaking at an investor conference at a hotel within 50 kilometers of the suspect's residence, suggesting a possible target. All right. The takeaway here is that the terrorist acts like this one are easily caught, easily prevented, and there is no standing risk to the public, said lead investigator Kennings in the official statement to the press. To any dissidents out there thinking they're just the next Heartbreak, just because you bought a gun, you will be caught. You will be prosecuted, and your hero won't be far behind. Update. Hanami Robotics has yet to respond to requests for comment, but their official social media accounts have released simultaneous statements denouncing in the strongest terms rising violence, thanking investigators for their swift and decisive action. We have also learned that a selective portion of shareholders have received messages clarifying Hanami's global market strategy and reaffirming their commitment to their workers as well as to their customers and shareholders. Whether this is an indication of reversal of their decision to relocate manufacturing jobs overseas. Like what you're reading? Does it change how you feel about Hanami Robotics? What if you could have access to stories like this hours or even days before the rest of the public? With a Premier account, you'll have access to all our updates on the business world as soon as they hit our desk. Remember, that's not insider trading. That's forerunner trading. Love these ending of the articles. But it just sounds like there's a lot of copycats these days. Yeah, totally arrested. Oh. Well, I think ... is the right answer because I feel like saying it's nothing is suspicious. Seems like the Heartbreak isn't going away, no matter what happened to the original. So it would seem. Damn. Look at us. Feeling bad about that. You know what? I'm probably going to leave it here. Let me just... Yeah, I can't access the menu. Let's do that. You know what? I'm going to do this first, and then... No, actually, wait. No, I'll save it for the next one, because then I'll have to go to something else again, then save. So I'm going to leave it here. We're going to continue the investigation. I'm suspicious of Huey. I don't know why he potentially got rid of that knife. But there is a good chance that he has altered something at the crime scene. So we'll figure that out, and we're going to figure out this window business, and maybe this potential analog alarm that's silent too. Or it could be like the, maybe it's the music blaring. Maybe it has something to do with that. Anyways, you know, technically the windows are soundproof, so could have been loud and at the same time alerted someone who is hidden somewhere in the building. Who knows? Anyways, I'm going to leave it here, and I'll see you guys in the next one, and we'll continue this investigation. Bye-bye.